pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the September 20th council meeting. Roll call, please, when you're ready.
Mrs. Lingo. Mr. Parsons.
Here.
Mr. Redding.
Here.
Mrs. Dosa. Here. Mr. George.
Here.
Mr. Mueller. Here. Mr. Young.
Here.
Okay, Ms. Lingo is absent apparently, so anybody like to excuse her from the meeting?
I make a motion to excuse Ms. Lingo, Mrs. Lingo.
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Redding made a motion to excuse and seconded by Mr. George. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. You have the minutes before you. You actually have two copies. The copy that was on your desk when you come in is the correct one. So does anybody have any corrections or anything they need to make or would like to make?
Yeah, they spell my name wrong on new business on the last page. M-U-E.
Anything else, council?
No, sir.
If this is the new one, yeah. I see they filled in from the
Yeah,
old
the
one,
one
their
that's-
new business.
Yeah, new business is filled in.
Yeah.
That's what makes the
It said
correct
Urban
one.
Tree Commission regarding. I'm like, what the heck's it regarding?
Have a motion to accept the minutes as corrected.
I make a motion to accept the meeting minutes from September 6th meeting as corrected.
Okay, Ms. Dosa has made a motion to adopt the minutes as corrected. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Redding is seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I do not have any correspondence. Is there anybody else that wants to bring any correspondence forward? Okay, guest and special events. Do we have a guest? Special event? Public input. Who would like to address council tonight? Nobody? Okay, then we'll move on to committee reports. Business Partnership and the Alliance, Mr. Young.
I have no reports.
Excuse me.
Beautification is Denise. She's not here. Finance, Mr. Parsons.
Yes, we just had a meeting that ran a little late to review the financial statements through August compared to the budget for this year, and went over a lot of questions, and everything looks pretty good. A few reclassification of expenses to be done, but looks like we're on good track for this year. And we talked a little about the budget for next year and the timing, and we should have something to look at late in November and then bring to council in December.
Okay. Questions? Parks, Ms. Lingo, she's not here. Street and Safety, Mr. Redding.
Just a couple of things. First thing I wanted to point out tonight, Mr. Horsley, if you could raise your hand. So last council meeting, I presented Mr. Horsley's, some of his proposals about street control. We'll use it as that term, or traffic calming maybe. And I just wanted to ask Mayor Wolf if we talked a little bit about that with safer passages to school and We Thrive. So if there's a time we need to get together to see how we can get this all to fit together, that would be great.
For sure.
So,
We actually
but-
just talked about that tonight at We
We
Thrive.
did, yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
so
then-
there's a grant that our We Thrive committee has received for planning I forget the terminology that they use, but it's basically for walking, biking, and public transportation. It's for non-car transportation. And these types of things would fall into it. So our plan was when they have the community engagement sessions, this would be perfect to work into that. And there should be, once the planning's done, which hopefully we can fold in, then there will be additional funding available to implement. Not right now.
No.
No. We just got approved for the grant.
Mm-hmm.
So-
But not too far off. The community engagement will start soon, within the next couple months. I think she said the planning has to be done through by August 2023, I believe.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, the grant calendar year, I believe. So we just got approved for it in August. I think we have
Yeah.
a year. So we are going to be starting, next couple months, but not within the next couple weeks. No problem.
Yep.
Thank you.
But again, special thanks to Mr. Horsley for coming up and presenting that. Greatly appreciate it. The other thing is, Scott, are you covering Compton Road in your report tonight, or? Okay, then I'll just defer Compton Road information to Scott then. And I believe that is all I have for tonight.
Okay, anybody have any questions for Mr. Redding? Okay. I do have one question, Joe. Parking on Adams and Joseph. There's
Okay.
some problems seeing around parked cars.
So over the last,
Jay was up here a month or two ago.
yeah, Mr. and Mrs. Smetzer both
Yeah.
were up here. And so that involved, if you're on Joseph Street at the stop sign at the intersection of, just to update folks, at the intersection of Joseph and Adams, and if you're turning either left or right, so you're either turning left to go west or right to go east, there are cars that are parked kind of towards the crest of the hill, and we wanted to push that no parking back a little bit. So we still have to look into that. So I know it would be heartache for some folks, but just to make that no parking, so it's a little bit further down the hill, so folks can see over the, wouldn't have to also look over the top of the cars that were parked, so.
Yeah, I remember what's involved, but I bring it up only because I get attacked at Kroger's and things like that.
Because they
Okay.
park right there on the
Yes.
corner.
So it's cars going eastbound on Adams typically
Yes.
that are the problem from the westbound side.
Well, technically, yeah, it is.
So,
Okay, thank
Only
you.
by one way.
School,
We had a sightline study done there by TEC.
yeah, and it came up with, I believe the result of that was it's kind of a coin flip, do what you want kind of thing. So I don't think that, going from memory, I don't think that they gave us any solid recommendations. So, but I think we can look up those documents. I may even have them in a folder at home.
I'll see if I can find
Okay.
some too.
okay, moving on. Schools, Mr. George.
No report.
Okay. Library, Keisha.
No report at this time.
Urban Trees, Denise. We Thrive, Mr. Mueller.
Is it Carla was her name from Artworks?
Yes.
She hasn't attended any meetings since her first attendance at the meeting, so we don't really have an update on any of that stuff. And then Mount Healthy Alliance, they're doing they have an event this Saturday at Clovernook from noon to 4. I think there's multiple things, pantry going on or whatnot, so, but that's all I have right now. The mayor probably has a little bit more
Okay.
in-depth stuff.
Okay, anybody have any questions for Mr. Mueller?
That's Friday at Clovernook Apartments,
It's Saturday.
Saturday at
Yes,
Clovernook
it will be,
Apartments. Okay.
yeah, it will be. Basically, it's a community thing for the community to engage and thrive, make the community thrive. So I've only been on there 3 months, 4 months. something like that.
It's a committee that's a liaison with Hamilton County Public Health.
Yeah.
So it's purposely to increase public health. Many various aspects, whether it's epidemics, whether it is healthy living, activity, healthy food, transportation, really all encompassing of anything that's to do with public health.
So the
Good.
transportation would, that's what the mayor was speaking to you about. So that was brought up tonight again. So it's quite a variety of things involved in it. So, yeah, no problem.
Okay, moving on. Mayor's report, Mr. Wolf.
Just a couple quick things. Farmers Market is coming up again for our next meeting. It is on October 2nd from 12 to 3 at Fibonacci. It's a Sunday, first Sunday of the month. The Mount Healthy Haunted Hall is starting up next weekend, next Friday. It's every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in October, but it starts, what is that, September 30th, whatever Friday. It's from 7 to 9 Fridays and Saturdays. 8 to 11 Fridays, Saturdays, 7 to 9 on Sundays. It benefits the Boy Scouts as well as the Knights of Columbus. If you bring canned goods up, you get $2 off admission, and the canned goods go to Mount Healthy Alliance Food Pantry. If you bring 2 cans of soup on Sundays, you get half off admission, and all that soup goes to the food pantry. Apparently the food pantry has higher need for soup products than just canned goods, so there's a higher benefit there. That does start next Friday, so, and then every weekend through October.
How much are the tickets, Jamie?
$12. So yeah, $12, $2 off if you bring canned goods on Fridays and Saturdays, $6 off if you bring 2 cans of soup on Sundays. It's a 32nd year. It's the longest running in the tri-state. Yeah, which is pretty crazy. And then the last thing, at our next meeting, we are going to have Dwight Moody coming in to present from the Tree Commission. Or not Dwight Moody, I said Dwight Moody. Dwight Weiss, sorry. Dwight Moody is Business Association. Dwight Weiss is coming in to present from the Tree Commission, and we also need to fill a vacancy. And Karen presented, actually Aaron, as the appointment. So I'm going to be asking for your approval at that meeting. I didn't know Aaron was coming up tonight, but if you'd like, feel free to step up and introduce yourself. This would be a great time. That way they can hear about you and ask questions before they're asked to approve you.
Hi, my name's Aaron Horsley. I actually just recently moved to Mount Healthy back in December. I originally came from Western Kentucky, lived in the Cincinnati area for about 4 years now. Planning to go back to school in the fall for urban planning, and been trying to get involved in my community and local government.
Cool.
Nice.
Thank you.
Aaron, you live on,
Maple Avenue.
Well, welcome to the city, and thank you for coming up and volunteering.
Yeah.
That's the end of my report.
Okay, questions for the mayor? Okay, city manager, Mr. Bauer.
So we got a few things here. So Chief Demasi asked me to bring up trick or treat. That'll be here before you know it. So October 31st is a Monday. Just kind of want to get input as to, do we want to do it on the 31st? I think it's what's typically done, 6 to 8. Is that a good time frame?
It's always worked.
I don't think we have to decide tonight, but if that seems reasonable, in line, I think it's in general what we've always done, but.
Can't do it any other day.
Agreed.
I don't disagree with that. October 31st it is.
Got it.
6 to 8.
Sounds good. Let's see. So Compton Road, Joe brought it up. So there will be a pre-construction meeting next Tuesday. The bids came in last week. We accepted Neiman's bid. They were the lowest. Happy with them. They've done other work in the city. Looking forward to working with them. I believe JMA said they could even start as early as this year. I'm not sure. I haven't seen the schedule yet, but that'd be great if they could go ahead and get started. Let's see. Steve Lawson made an appearance at our finance committee meeting. He had gone up to do another check on the ambulance. It's got pictures I'll send out later this week. It's looking pretty good. He said 2 to 3 weeks for delivery, so
Sweet.
it's coming up here.
Nice.
And again, I'll send those pictures out. He was asking me to gauge interest We'll do a swearing in at the next council for new firefighters, but I think maybe in the past we've done an open house where they kind of pull out some of the equipment and you can meet some of the new guys. Is there interest in that for the next meeting? Maybe we'd do it at like 6 or 6:30 or something. I didn't attend the last one, so I'm not sure exactly what the timing was for it. Is interested in, I mean, they'll be up here for the swearing in, so you can meet them then, but he was just offering if you want to go down into the garage and see some of the equipment, you can check it out if you want.
That's fine.
I think it would be good to show an interest
good
in the,
idea.
in the firefighters.
Yeah. Sounds good. I will let them know.
But the new truck won't be in next week.
Now, let's see, he said
New ambulance, I'm
2
sorry.
to 3 weeks?
2 to 3 weeks, right? Yep.
Two, probably, well, we could be optimistic, but
Yeah.
probably not.
Okay.
Let's see, so Chris Jones is here with PACE, so when we get to that legislation, I think it was Bob and Keisha were not here last time. If you have questions related to it, he can answer those questions for you. My last item is, Bobby asked me to kind of get information about the abatement with Clover Nook Apartments. Looking at the language, I mean, I think it would be good for us to go out there and at least determine how much work they did on the apartments. The language of the CRA that we set up that allowed them to get the abatement said they had to complete a certain amount of work to earn it, and depending if they hit certain milestones, it could be either a 10-year or a 12-year abatement. So I don't know if we've ever even made that determination as to how many years. So at the very least, we should figure out, okay, how long is this good for? But I guess in our meeting this evening, we also realized that they're at least paying us for some of our police details that we're doing out there. So I mean, there's some give on their part related to what's happening over there, but.
And what commitments did they make to us to get that abatement? I
Right.
mean, if there's some things that they're not doing that they promised, then we can talk to them about those.
Sure. I've got basically a monthly meeting with their rep, their corporate rep who's in Cleveland. She's gonna share their capital budget expenditures that they're gonna have, you know, so we're hoping to see more cameras and anything else that can kind of help with the situation there. So kind of trying to jumpstart that relationship again and just keep up with them every month. But I will get more information as to kind of what the promises were. I mean, part of it is the guy that I think made the promises, I think he left as of May. So that's part of the issue, but I'll dig into it more. That is all that I had.
Okay, thank you. Questions?
One question, Clover Nook, I think originally JMA said about $1.3 million, and then when they started looking harder at it and all the costs have gone up, they were talking $1.8 million.
Okay.
Where did it come in? Do you know the price, the bid?
For what again?
I mean, Compton.
Oh, I said Clover Nook. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
Compton.
Let me think, was it like 1.5?
Okay.
I'd have to check, I can get the number.
Yeah, oil was real high back when they talked about it, and it's come down, so the blacktop should be a little cheaper than what they thought, and then the gasoline for the vehicles should be better than what it was back then, so.
So you want the Compton
Compton,
bid?
Compton
Okay,
bid.
I'll get it for you.
Thank you.
Anybody else, questions? Okay, moving on to the Finance Director, Melanie Brandis.
Your August month-end reports were in your packet. If you have any questions, let me know. We are going to begin for budget work starting next month for 2023. So we'll have that, like Bob said, for the December meetings. That's it.
Okay, anybody have any questions? Okay, we're gonna move on. And we go to ordinances and resolutions. We're going to the second readings. First, second reading of an ordinance. An ordinance assessing cost of the removal of high grass and weeds and declaring an emergency. Ordinance number 22-1991. Questions or comments? There's one on Harrison Avenue on the back page. It just says 4, so that's, I don't really, as long as the city knows which one you're cutting. But I don't think 4 Harrison Avenue is an address.
It is, what is it behind? Is it,
yeah.
like this little stretch behind the Fortune Express? between the Fortune Express and our lot. There's a little green space right there. It does exist.
Wouldn't it have a longer, a four-digit number, though?
That's it.
Yeah,
Four.
it is literally 4.
Cynthia Korn?
Oh, yeah.
So on here, there's one that has $700. Where do we, as a city, get to a point where it gets to a certain amount where we, like, what kind of sanctions are placed besides the money? I mean, that's $700.
I agree. I think, isn't there another one, I think, in here that'll be
I mean, there's another one for
$900, I think.
I mean, like, where do we?
Yeah, ones like that, it's like a, 15, 20 bags of trash or something like that, and just, I don't know how it
Well, I'm
gets
sure
like
it's
that.
multiple times cutting the grass,
Dollar
too.
General.
Are you serious?
Yep, it's Dollar General.
Then they should be paying that.
And I know there were a lot of garbage bags, like orange garbage bags, that were stacked up there a few times, which was probably our guys bagging everything up and then coming back and picking it up.
Yeah, Bill Knight has recommended adding more fees to our code to
Right.
try to, incentivize people to not use us as their cleanup crew, but,
So all we do is have this money and it just adds up. I'm paying it. So,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's our guys that have to go out and do it, and they could be doing something else, obviously, so, yeah.
obviously.
Any other questions on this?
I've noticed too that a couple of those spots on Hamilton Avenue, they actually are putting the garbage from the apartments out at the cans now. At the street cans.
Oh, wow.
So I noticed that the other day too, so that's something to, that was up at the old bank, I think.
Well, the one, behind the bank, I don't understand why there's not a dumpster or something.
Yeah, that's the one fee, and that was, I think Greg addressed that last week, or last, couple meetings, or last meeting, and that was bad.
Yeah, those are the ones
That was a lot of work
don't
for them.
get.
So now I'm seeing, instead of the garbage going in the back, I've seen, I've seen garbage out front by the, they would probably be able to address it better, but I've seen bags out there in the morning,
Right.
so.
I mean, Bill Knight's on it. I mean, he tries to cite them as quick as he sees them, but, if people don't care,
But I agree, there should be a penalty,
Yeah.
attached to this, instead of just covering our cost or a little bit. I know it's a little bit more in cost, but there should be a penalty.
I'm meeting with Scott Solomon on Thursday, and I already sent him Bill Knight's suggestions, so I'll see if he's looked into it more to see if there's any limits as to what kind of fees we can put. But I agree, should be, if it's twice or 3 times within 30 days, something like that, there should be something tacked onto it, you would think, so.
Or even a certain amount. I mean,
Yeah.
I think $700 is ridiculous.
Right.
Okay, council, do I have a motion to adopt? Had the first reading on the 6th of September.
I make a motion to adopt ordinance 1991.
Okay, Mr. Redding's made an ordinance to adopt 22-1991. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Mr. Young? Roll call, please.
Mr. Parsons?
Aye.
Mr. Redding?
Aye.
Mrs. Dosa?
Aye.
Mr. George?
Aye.
Mr. Mueller?
Aye.
Mr. Young?
Aye.
Okay, by a vote of 6-0, ordinance 22-1991 is adopted. Next ordinance, have a first reading on it on the last meeting. 22-1992, an ordinance vacating an alley located between 7405 Perry Street and 7409 Perry Street.
I feel like this one is a long time coming, so this will be Doug Bay's finally giving him that alley. He'll be very happy.
Questions or comments, council? Going to ask for a second, or ask for a motion to adopt.
Can I make a motion to adopt ordinance number 22-1992?
Okay, Mr. George has made a motion to adopt. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Redding? Seconded. Roll call, please.
Mr. Parsons?
Aye.
Mr. Redding?
Aye.
Mrs. Dosa?
Aye.
Mr. George?
Aye.
Mr. Mueller?
Aye.
Mr. Young?
Aye.
Okay, by a vote of 6-0, ordinance 22-1992 is adopted. Next one, ordinance number 22-1993. Once again, we had the first reading at our last meeting. Ordinance assessing costs for the replacement of private lead service lines and declaring an emergency. Questions or comments, council? We've done this numerous times before.
Make a motion to adopt ordinance number 22-1993.
Mr. Mueller has made a motion to adopt. Do I have a second? Ms. Dosa, seconded. Roll call.
Mr. Parsons?
Aye.
Mr. Redding?
Aye.
Mrs. Dosa?
Aye.
Mr. George?
Aye.
Mr. Mueller?
Aye.
Mr. Young?
Aye.
Okay, by a vote of 6-0, ordinance number 22-1993 is adopted.
Oh, it wasn't, was it?
Next one, an ordinance number
That's okay.
22-1994. An ordinance determining to proceed with the acquisition, construction, and improvement of certain public improvements in the city of Mount Healthy, Ohio, in cooperation with the Western Communities Energy Special Improvement District and declaring an emergency.
So Chris, so Bob and Keisha, I don't know how much you looked at last meeting to get the gist of it. So do you want to run through kind of a quick summation of what the PACE loan is, or?
Go ahead, please.
Well, go ahead, but I looked at, I saw the last meeting and I saw the presentations.
Okay.
But go ahead.
Yes, the 50,000
Give
foot.
it a brief and then kind of go from there, yeah.
Just really brief.
Yeah, so the property owner at Hilltop Plaza would like to utilize PACE financing for a roof replacement there. And so it has to be an energy efficiency or renewable energy improvement for it to qualify under the state Energy Special Improvement District. And so really kind of the next three pieces of legislation is all kind of grouped together. So there is the resolution that's there to essentially accept the petition from the property owner, which also is accepting to join into the existing Energy Special Improvement District. And then the ordinances are really following the state law in the fact that it's approving essentially the project. Kind of as a recap, the Energy Special Improvement District sets the energy efficiency piece of it, sets on the state special improvement district laws that have been, in place in Ohio for, I don't know if it's 100 years, but a long time. So there is this formality to it. In short, what is happening is the property owner is requesting you approve a special assessment for the loan repayment, and it's only for that property. As you see in the documents, there's actually 3 separate individual parcels that make up where that roof replacement is actually going. And then the last thing I'd say, it's also very similar to the lead line replacement special assessments that you kind of, just approved, in the fact, again, it's only affecting the one property owner and really nobody else. And then the last thing I'd say is that you're really just a pass-through of that special assessment. So you're approving it. Worst case scenarios, if the property owner forecloses, doesn't pay the property tax bill, the city's not on the hook to, repay it, the same that you're not on the hook to repay the special assessments for the lead line replacements, I assume. So.
Just wanted to make sure I understood. Thank you.
Any questions?
I do have one question I didn't ask last council meeting. What exactly is the energy efficiency part of the project? They're replacing the roof. What, are they using a new kind of technology, or?
They do have to increase the insulation value of the roof, and
Okay.
so that's what they're doing on the
Okay.
entire roof segment.
All right.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
What's the period of time for repayment?
25 years, I think.
25 years?
Semi-annual payments.
We will have to change the date that the ordinance was, or the resolution was passed. Ordinance. It says resolution number. I don't know if that's the one coming up, but it's going to have to be adopted on September 20th.
Yeah,
Yep, good catch.
that's resolution,
Is that the other resolution, 20?
Yeah, I think they all have the 6th, so, yeah.
Yeah, and that was my next question. Do we need to pass the
22.
resolution before we pass the ordinance?
1190.
Yes,
We have to
actually,
pass the
yeah.
resolution first.
And then also to that, I would add this with regards to, if you do, if this does end up being approved, like right now, there are two responsibilities of folks in this room. So what will happen by joining the Energy Special Improvement District? By default, the city manager is on the board of directors of that Energy SID board, and then also council as the legislative member of that board. Someone would have to make a motion to appoint someone either at the table, or the mayor could be, or also someone from, again, the legislative side of the house here could make the designee Mr. Bauer, so Mr. Bauer could basically hold 2 votes at any of those Energy SID meetings for kind of efficiency of the voting process. But again, just want to make the point, in addition to the resolution, the 2 ordinances, there would also then have to be a motion to designate that legislative ESID board member.
Okay, but you think we should pass the resolution first?
Yes, please. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I do have a question. I'm just curious, why did he go this route? Could the owners not secure a different type of funding? Is there something special about this? Is it zero interest? Is it, are they just do they have a green thumb and, try to do better? What's going on with that?
Yeah.
Any insight in that, or?
I don't know the exact answer. I know the property owner representative was here at the last meeting, and I don't recall if they said exactly. However, to just generally answer your question on what we see, why most property owners use it, is that they certainly have to have equity in the property to take out a PACE loan. And so in general, what that affords the property owner is not tying up traditional credit lines, since this can be used for the energy efficiency or renewable energy like solar panels related type of improvements. I would say that's probably the biggest reason with regards to kind of the green thumb or the energy efficiency side of this. We certainly have had property owners use it for, because this can also, more speaking just generally here about how other community members could use it. And again, this is just commercial property owners. It doesn't touch single family owners, but this also can be used for new construction purposes. And so there are more affordable rates for this type of loan. There's definitely an interest rate to this, so it's not a free money by any means. They're definitely, the property owner bears all of the cost, for this. But I would just tell you that, some things are really, really easy and can make positive cash flow. Like, as an example right now with the new, not to get too far off track, but I'll be short, is that with the new Inflation Reduction Act for solar panels, the investment tax credit actually went up to 30%. And then, there's still the accelerated depreciation that's on the market. And then when you can finance it with PACE financing over a 30-year term, because that's what the useful life of the solar panel is, it is a cash flow from day one in doing that. So there's really kind of that side of it. And then there's a side of property owner, getting extended financing without tying up traditional credit lines.
Okay. This will be the first in the city, correct?
That is true, yes.
And it would be open to other people? I mean, if you're on the board, or
Right, yeah.
That's
that
right,
could
yeah.
open the door to other people?
That is right, yeah. So if this is, approved, then the city of Mount Healthy essentially becomes PACE eligible for other commercial property owners to do this. And so in the future, the next property owner that would want to do it, simply would, we'd come forward with, the authorization to pass the, assessments. But then also before we would come forward for the assessment for another particular property, there is then an Energy SID board meeting that is held to approve the project too. So in the future, these are a 2-step approval process. And also, again, if this does get approved here tonight, we are going to try to schedule an Energy SID board meeting towards the end of next week as soon as we could. There's some notice requirements and everything, but
Where does that meeting take place?
we were actually going to ask if we could hold it here, actually.
Okay.
It'd be like next Thursday or next
Looking out for
Monday,
you.
or the Monday following that one, but we'd like to shoot it for next Thursday, but yeah, we
Sure. Work it out.
didn't want to get too far ahead, but.
Okay, it has been recommended that we do not vote on the ordinance that we're talking about. Move to the resolution 22-1190 and pass it first. So if you get 22-1190 out, the resolution. Resolution approving the petition for special assessments for special energy improvement projects and a plan for public improvements, declaring the necessity of acquiring, construction, improving, installing, and equip certain public improvements described in the plan for public improvements in cooperation with the Green Township Energy Special Improvement District Incorporated, doing business as the Western Communities Energy Special Improvement District Incorporated. Okay, that was 22-1190 resolution. Questions?
I'm just making sure, Ross, we're looking through this, that there wasn't September the 6th deadline, like there was on the
Well,
ordinance.
there's no date, but there's a 30-day deadline, and the other thing was signed on August 30th, so we're still okay.
Yep, okay. Just wanted to make sure there wasn't anything, I don't see anything else. So with that, I make a motion to adopt Resolution 22-1190.
Okay, Mr. Redding has made a motion to adopt, seconded by Mr. Parsons. Roll call, please.
Mr. Parsons?
Aye.
Mr. Redding?
Aye?
Mrs. Dosa?
Aye.
Mr. George?
Aye.
Mr. Mueller? Mr. Young?
Aye.
Okay, by a vote of 6-0, Resolution 22-1190 is approved. Now we'll move back to that ordinance of 22-1994. That was determining to proceed with the acquisition, construction, and improvement of certain public improvements in the city of Mount Healthy, Ohio, in cooperation with the Western Communities Energy Special Improvement District and declaring emergency. And we had some questions and comments about this before. Do we have any more?
I think we need, I think we're doing this right. I'd like to make a motion to amend the ordinance to say on September 20th.
20th.
That's the second line of the first whereas.
And the resolution number has to go in.
And on
Yeah.
on the last page.
Yeah, right before that, yeah, as Bob mentioned, resolution number 1191.
90.
90, I'm sorry.
Any other questions, council?
I make a motion to adopt ordinance 22-1994 as amended.
Nice second.
Mr. Parsons has made a motion to adopt as amended. Mr. Redding has seconded. Roll call, please.
Mr. Parsons?
Aye.
Mr. Redding?
Aye.
Mrs. Dosa?
Aye.
Mr. George?
Aye.
Mr. Mueller? Mr. Young?
Aye.
Okay, by a vote of 6-0, ordinance number 22-1994 is adopted. We have ordinance number 22-1995. An ordinance levying special assessments for the purpose of acquiring, constructing, and improve certain public improvements in the city of Mount Healthy, Ohio, in cooperation with the Western Communities Energy Special Improvement District, and declaring an emergency.
So that would be the same for this one. We would have to make the corrections for the date as well.
Yes. You can make that motion?
I make a motion that we, excuse me, make the corrections to correct the date to be September 20th.
And that would
And
be,
then we will adopt it as corrected.
okay. We also have to make that resolution number 1190.
And make that resolution number 990.
Okay, Ms. Dosa has made a motion to correct and adopt as corrected.
I think we need to make adjustment in the second paragraph as well,
Yep.
and that would be ordinance number
Oh, that's right. Thank you.
22-1994.
Correct.
And on September 20th.
On
September 20th.
Anything else on this council? Ms. Dosa has made a motion to adopt as corrected.
I'll second.
Mr. George, seconded. Roll call.
Mr. Parsons?
Aye.
Mr. Redding?
Aye.
Mrs. Dosa?
Aye.
Mr. George?
Aye.
Mr. Mueller? Mr. Young?
Aye.
Okay, by a vote of 6-0, ordinance number 22-1995 is adopted.
And do we want to do the motion now for the appointments? Is that something we should do now?
We could do that while we're on the subject here.
Yes.
So I'm fine if I'm also the second person too. Does that mean we just technically appoint the mayor and then he delegates me, or they can just say me? Okay.
Well, as you guys tried to do to me and Keisha last meeting, Denise isn't here, so she could be.
Not me.
You watched it.
Okay, we need a motion to appoint the mayor as our representative to this council.
To the ECID?
Is that just a voice vote, or,
I would think so.
okay,
Any questions or comments?
Nope.
Mr. Redding?
No, none from me.
Oh, I thought you were going to make a motion.
Oh, I can make a motion to appoint the mayor to the,
And me?
the,
So both of us, right?
yes,
Two
the-
of us.
I make a motion to appoint the city manager and the mayor to the PACE Council, I'll call it? ESID Council.
Eastern Council.
I'll second that motion.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Redding, and seconded by Mr. Parsons.
And then a second
Questions?
one to appoint, a second motion to delegate his to me? Is that how it works, Chris?
What was that?
So a motion to delegate the mayor's vote to the city manager. Is that-
Proxy,
Yes.
is that in the same motion? Let's do the first motion.
Yeah.
What was
We
the
already
first
did the
motion?
first one.
We didn't vote on it.
Correct. I think it was just, okay.
Okay,
But I didn't think we have to do a roll call vote, do we?
No, it's just a voice vote.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, we haven't voted yet.
Mr. Parsons, you made the motion, did you? Mr. Redding made the
Yeah,
motion?
I did.
I second.
You seconded.
Yep.
Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion is carried. Now I have to do something else on that?
I make a motion to delegate Mr. Bauer, the city manager, to vote for the mayor and the board.
Okay. Mr. Parsons has made a motion to,
What's the letters? E,
ESID.
ESID.
that board.
I'll
One
second
more
it.
board.
is this on TV? Okay, we have a motion made by,
Mr. Mueller seconded.
yeah. That was you that made that motion? Mr. Parsons made a motion, seconded by
I'll second.
Mr. Mueller. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion is carried. So now you're delegated to vote.
All right. So are we good? Okay, awesome. Thank
Yeah,
you for
well,
coming
it wasn't
again. Appreciate it.
complicated.
Yep.
Yeah, not complicated at all.
Okay, we have some resolutions.
Thanks.
Second reading on some resolutions. Resolution 22-1191, a resolution authorizing the city manager of the city of Mount Healthy to prepare and submit an application to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission State Capital Improvement and/or local transportation improvement programs, and to execute contracts as required.
So this is technically for the Warner and Joseph projects that we're going to submit for, and
Yes.
most likely get one of those projects, but it's those two projects.
But that's not stated in the resolution.
We normally don't, because I think when we're passing it, we're usually maybe to the last minute on which projects we'll use, but we have the match in there, but yeah, we usually use it,
So
leave it generic.
So the number one priority is Werner and Madison from Werner to Harrison. And then we talked about negotiating, maybe getting a little extra work done on Madison from Harrison to Hamilton.
Yeah, technically, it only includes that first stretch of Madison. but
Only the
then
one from
Yes.
Werner to Harris.
WC,
Yeah.
yes. But, yeah, then we would try to work to get the,
And the second then is Joseph from Compton to Hill, and McMacken from Joseph to Elizabeth.
Correct.
correct.
Okay.
Kegels would be very happy.
Any other questions on this resolution?
Very happy.
Yeah.
to get that.
I know Denise will be happy. Any other questions on this resolution?
And those will get formally submitted, once we pass, it's either Thursday or Friday, they'll get formally submitted, so,
Okay.
It's due by the,
end of this
by
week.
Friday? Okay.
Yep.
So I make a motion to adopt Resolution 22-1191.
Mr. Redding has made a motion to adopt. Second.
I'll second
Mr.
that.
Young? Roll call.
Mr. Parsons?
Aye.
Mr. Redding?
Aye.
Mrs. Dosa?
Aye.
Mr. George?
Aye.
Mr. Mueller?
Aye.
Mr. Young?
Aye.
Okay, by a vote of 6-0, resolution number 22-1191 is approved. Okay, now we have some first readings on ordinances. 22-1996. An ordinance assessing cost for the removal of litter, rubbish, and garbage and declaring an emergency.
Keisha, you
The,
thought 700 was a lot. This is the big one.
Holy cow.
This is the one behind the old bank. Got pictures of it. It was just a mound of trash bags. When they cleaned it up, they said they were maggots as big as their finger. I mean, it was just disgusting. Yeah,
Behind which bank?
Something that can be done about
old bank.
Hamilton and Compton?
Yes. Yep.
That drive-through that's a disaster?
I mean, it was all just right up against the back of the building, but, yeah.
Gary Perkins, yeah.
Tried to contest it, but I mean, we have the paper trail of when we notified them, and, we basically gave them a month to take care of it, and it was still there, so.
They refused to pay the invoice. Okay. I make a motion to suspend the two-reading rule.
Second.
Mr. Parsons has made a motion to suspend. Mr. Redding has seconded. Roll call.
Mr. Parsons?
Aye.
Mr. Redding?
Aye.
Mrs. Dosa?
Aye.
Mr. George?
Aye.
Mr. Mueller?
Aye.
Mr. Young?
Aye.
Okay, by a vote of 6-0, two reading rules been suspended.
Make a motion to adopt Ordinance 22-1996.
Mr. Redding has made a motion to adopt ordinance 22-1996.
Second.
Mr. George has seconded. Roll call.
Mr. Parsons?
Aye.
Mr. Redding?
Aye.
Mrs. Dosa?
Aye.
Mr. George?
Aye.
Mr. Mueller?
Aye.
Mr. Young?
Aye.
Okay, by a vote of 6-0, ordinance number 22-1996 is approved. Now we have some first readings on some resolutions. The first one is resolution number 22-1192. A resolution authorizing the Mount Healthy City Manager to sign and accept the memorandum of understanding between the City of Mount Healthy and the Fraternal Order of Police, Ohio Label Council regarding changes to the current collective bargaining agreement covering the police sergeants.
So next two will be basically the same, but what it's basically covering is allowing them to carry over up to 80 hours into the next year for PTO, whereas before they basically had to cash it all out. So it's just sort of incentivizing them to try to, or allowing them more of a chance to use their PTO instead of just cashing it out. Technically, they didn't have the opportunity to do that before. Is that correct? It was all cashed out?
Yes. This new contract, but this is actually putting it back to where their old contract was. So the changes that they made to do the cash out didn't work for them, so they want it back to be able to roll it over each year.
They can roll over 80 hours, and they can cash out up to 90 hours.
Correct. 3 times a year.
And is that new, or is that what was in the old contract?
That was what was in the old contract now, putting it back in the new.
I like the idea that they can cash out so we don't have as many people off.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, so I do,
Go ahead.
sorry, Mr. Pittner, I do have a concern about, because it is the police, I just want to make sure that, you know, especially in light of the things that the police have to go through today, is making sure that they do get enough time off during the course of the year to, you know, to recharge your batteries, to get away from the job, because it is a pretty darn stressful job. So, so when we say up to 80 hours, how many weeks does a new police officer get coming in?
They start accruing day one, so after 1 year of time, they get 80 hours.
Okay, so they get 2 weeks, so they could potentially not take any vacation.
And carry it over, yes.
Okay. That part concerns me a little bit.
The year
but-
they start and the next year, they
Yeah.
could not take any.
Yeah, they could 2 full years without,
Yeah,
we just want to be cognizant of that.
yeah, I mean, that is the catch. It will, passing this could potentially make it more difficult for scheduling, but I agree that it's, I mean, you want people to take the time
To
off
use
to
their time,
recharge,
yes.
so I mean, it's,
But when they take time off to recharge right now, the other full-timers have to work overtime.
Sure, I get it.
Any other questions? What is your wish, council?
How,
Ask for a motion to suspend?
does this need to be done quickly?
No.
First reading?
First reading, council? Okay. First reading on 22-1192. 22-1193, another resolution. A resolution authorizing the Mount Healthy City Manager to sign and accept the memorandum of understanding between the City of Mount Healthy and the Fraternal Order of Police, Ohio, Labor Council regarding changes to current collective bargaining agreement covering full-time police officers. Sorry, I paused at the wrong time in that one.
so this has the same language with the carryover, but it's adding, it's reducing from 3 years down to 2, the amount of time it takes to be eligible to be promoted to sergeant. It's just with staffing, it just makes it a little easier to promote from within to sergeant, is all that it's getting at.
What's your feelings on this, council? Questions?
So these will go into effect 30 days after we approve them, and you don't need it before like the end of October?
They didn't put a rush on it, no.
Okay.
Could be a first read.
First reading.
First reading?
First reading.
All right, first reading on 22-1193.
Huh?
That is the last of our ordinances and resolutions. Old business. If I have any old business. New business. I do have one question, Scott. When are they going to begin grinding and paving Hamilton Avenue?
Let's see. Greg said it was late September, early October, which is where we're at, so hopefully, any day. I don't-
Any week, any week.
Any week, yes.
And I guess it's, this,
say which year.
yeah, this may
No,
or may
that
not
has to be
be.
done, right? They got a 90-day window from the time they started.
I thought they had 60 days, but I guess they got 90.
Yeah. I think it was a 90-day window.
This may or may not be any of my business, but I'll ask the question. Yesterday, I seen the maintenance crew blocking off Madison Avenue between Hamilton and Harrison. Police had 3 or 4 cars there with lights on, and the city crews were putting up barricades. What, do you know what that was about? or-
There was a truck that went through, they got snagged on a phone line, I believe. So they stopped everything because they weren't sure what the cable was.
Okay.
But we went out and determined it was just a phone line, But they had to shut it down for a little bit to
Okay.
get everything situated. But everything turned out fine.
Okay, that was all a little curiosity.
Yeah.
Other new business, council. Denise?
We're Never gonna get adjourned.
Yeah, we're never gonna.
Gotta do that a little louder.
Should I make a motion to adjourn?
Ms. Dos has made a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Mr. Mueller has seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion is carried. Meeting is adjourned.